Hello. So I'm in the same sweater because it's cold in the basement and I'm cozy and I don't care. Like I said, I wanted to record a few videos, but I just wanted to enjoy my holidays. So now I'm recording a few that I have written down about and journaled about. The one I want to talk about today is the ego. So it's the dualities of emotions. And I think I'm going to start making this a little bit of like a mini series. So if you have any questions about any emotions that you're having where you're like, I hate this emotion, but you want to understand maybe why you have it, what the lesson in it is, how you can turn it around and use the shadow aspects of it to actually benefit you. Any questions like that, leave them down below. But for today, we're going to talk about ego. So in the video before this, I started kind of touching on it, and then I started talking more about rage and how to use rage to help make proper changes. And we're going to talk about that, but with ego as well. So your ego is actually, I feel like a lot of people talk about going through ego death, and before you even do that, realize that any extreme part of your emotion is trying to tell you something. It's trying to teach you a lesson. So start thinking of it that way. If your ego is very fragile, maybe try and think about, why is my ego so fragile? If your ego is a dick, think about, why is my ego a dick? Chances are this has some sort of inner child issues attached to it, like 99% sure. When it comes to the ego, I feel like a lot of people jump to the conclusion that having an ego is a terrible thing. And while it can be a terrible thing, when you allow, the ego is kind of like that demon that helps you, but that can grow really big and strong and then end up stomping on top of you and crushing you. So ego and any emotion like that, when you dwell too much into one side of it, it can take over you. In regards to why I like an ego is because a lot of people that have maybe more like a higher than average ego or work off their ego, usually they're the ones to become pretty successful pretty quickly. They're the ones who don't let obstacles get in their ways. They're the ones who just find a solution. They're also the ones that don't overthink things. They just kind of take action and just kind of go for it. This of course can, I think one of the reasons why they come off like dicks, and I'm not a mental health expert, this is just like my observation of human behavior that I've done for fun. But what I feel like people with egos, the reason they come off as dicks is because they've managed to get so much done. So it's kind of like this confidence, but it's like an overconfidence. And that's because you've relied so much on your ego to make you successful that now when you don't use your ego, you're like, am I ever gonna be successful? So you kind of hold on to the ego and you kind of feed it because you know it's done great things for you and you don't want to let that part go. But now it's time for you not to kill it. You don't want to kill it, but it's time to humble it and give it thanks. Give it gratitude for how far it's gotten you. And this is with any emotion, but specifically with your ego. Acknowledge how far your ego has gotten you. Acknowledge the successes it has given you, but also acknowledge the shadow aspects of it. The fact that maybe you do some things when you're on your ego trip that you're not proud of. Maybe you become a little bit more angry. Maybe you become a little more dickish, I don't know, whatever. But it's just the acknowledgement of that emotion and all of the different waves through it. Once you do this with any emotion, once you are able to sit in the emotion and kind of do a pro and con list, like a light and shadow pros and cons, and do that list and see what lessons are in there. Maybe your ego is going on like a really big bitch run because it's trying to tell you something. Maybe it's trying to tell you have some healing to do. Maybe it's trying to tell you people around you aren't as they seem. Maybe it's trying to tell you that you are in denial about something, and if you continue to ignore it, you're going to explode and come up like a complete dick. So it's like these little moments of you being a dick is like hints of there's more things to come. Pay attention to your ego. It's trying to tell you something. The other thing I want to mention on that is the important part about learning is realizing that people can't be held, they can be held accountable for their actions, but you can't hold grudges against people for the way they acted. Emotions are a fickle little thing. Emotions are very much chemistry. It's the chemistry of different sorts of energies. Each emotion has its own energy. And when you, like, I'm really trying to go back to reminding people that you've had past lives that you would not be proud of. So don't get all high and mighty, humble yourself, because you might be a great person in this lifetime. But I mean, if you're bragging about it, are you even that nice? But if you think about it, you could have been a complete asshole back in the day. So I don't know if I've mentioned this in my videos before, but if you ever do past life regression, pick like the worst person in the world that you could have been or that just existed and come to terms that this could be you or something similar. So don't get all high and mighty about what you are in this lifetime, because who knows who you were in the past. And same with in this lifetime too. You don't know what the person was going through when they had those emotions. I think I'm also coming at this from, like, I'm learning and understanding more about unconditional love and what it means to have unconditional love. And it's quite literally that some things in nature are just out of our control and they have to be experienced. Sometimes these shadow times, these dark days, these dark nights of the soul, they have to be experienced. And I feel like in a society where we're so rush, we don't know how to relax, we don't know how to experience and process our emotions. It's really just about processing your emotions. I feel like our fast-paced society doesn't allow us to do that. I'm slowly switching myself to spirit time, and holy crap, just like sitting there and relaxing. At first, I felt so guilty, and now I'm finally starting to enjoy the relaxation, but it's taken months. And it's this weird feeling of stillness. And I feel like a lot of the times, the reason that we all get really behind on our emotions, such as the ego, and really keep going to the extreme of it, is because we don't know how to process it. We don't know, or we aren't comfortable sitting there and acknowledging that we have an ego and that it has a shadow side. And I feel like because we feel like there will be judgment from the outside about it, that we don't even do it ourselves. So I'm here to tell you that not only do you have permission to sit through these emotions and process them, but it's kind of the only way for your health. And if you choose not to do it in this lifetime, if you're like, oh, whatever, I don't even care anymore, that's fine. But be a little more realistic as to the fact that you'll probably be back in your next lifetime to do this. I know it's a little extreme for some people that don't believe in reincarnation and all that stuff, but I mean, where the fuck does your soul go? Why are you here if you don't have a soul? To me, your soul is the emotion. It's kind of all tied into that. Anyways, I'm getting a little philosophical. I will leave that for next time. If you have questions about that part, I'm probably not going to talk about that because it's not anytime soon anyways. It's a little out there, it's a little weird. But yeah. Okay, so I have my little list here. That was my little rant on ego and the shadow side and the light side. That was just a little intro on the duality. The next thing I want to talk to you guys is about how to transmute energy. So I'm going to make a video about that right after this one. And on that note, I love you guys. Thank you. Also follow me on TikTok, and I do fun fashion stuff on Instagram. Okay, I love you. Bye.